Amazing stuff in Al Rayyan. Let's just go through the computations for you. It could get fairly complicated. Ecuador will qualify for the last 16 if they avoid defeat. If they lose, they can only progress if the Dutch also lose against Qatar. They have exactly the same record as the Dutch heading into this one. Senegal realistically can only progress if they win, but if the Dutch were to lose by more than one goal, then a draw would be enough. Qatar are already out. Let me just go through those teams very quickly for you again. Hernan Galíndez in goal for Ecuador. A back four of Pervis Estupiñán, Felix Torres, Piero Hincapié and Angelo Preciado. In midfield it's Alan Franco, Carlos Gruezo and Moises Caicedo. And a front three of Enner Valencia, Michael Estrada and Gonzalo Plata. As for Senegal, it's Chelsea's Edouard Mendy in goal, Ismail Jacobs, Abdou Diallo, Kalidou Koulibaly also of Chelsea, and Youssouf Sabaly at the back. Pape and Pape Ciss, the holding midfielders, Idrissa Gana Gueye ahead of them, Ismail Assar down the left, Iliman Ndiaye of Sheffield United down the right, and Boulaye Dia, the lone striker. Our referee is Clément Turpin of France. And Perry Groves, we are set for a fascinating encounter.
Well, I know it's in the last game of the group, but basically it's a knockout game, isn't it? So that's what we love about the latter stages. Some of the games can be a little bit dull and boring, the first games of the group stage, but then the last game, which this one is going to be really exciting. And you've got be interesting to see how both coaches set about it, because you said that Ecuador can get through with a draw and they're brilliant at not conceding goals.
Feels like they've gone for it though with this formation, because they played five at the back against the Dutch. They've reverted to that back four.
Yeah, I think with Plata, Estrada and Valencia up front, obviously they're going to try and keep the back four of Senegal engaged. And I think it's just a message that Gustavo Alfaro, the Ecuadorian manager, is sending out to his players, that we're not going to sit back. We're not just going to try and hold on to what we have, because what happens there, if that happens and then you concede, it's very, very difficult to get yourself out of that negative mindset.
Enner Valencia will lead Ecuador once again. He has scored his country's last 6 goals at the World Cup finals. No player in history has got to 7 in a row. So history beckons for Enner Valencia, who is his country's record goal scorer. He has been magnificent for so many years, and he's in good form right now for his club as well. He's got 15 goals in 22 games for Fenerbahce. Ecuador in their familiar yellow shirts, dark blue shorts and dark blue socks. Senegal will wear the strip that they've worn in each of the last 2 games. Senegal beaten in their opening game against the Netherlands by 2-0, but they bounced back with a 3-1 victory over Qatar. They are all in white for this game. Can Gustavo Alfaro's men make it through to the last 16, or will they be denied by Aliou Cissé's African champions? 2022 has been Senegal's year, and we are underway. The final game of Group A for both Ecuador and Senegal. The World Cup dream still alive for both of them, but barring a Dutch disaster against the hosts Qatar, this is probably a straight shootout between these two for a place in the last 16. I'm your match commentator Kevin Hatchard, alongside me the former Arsenal star Perry Groves. And Perry, we know how strong Ecuador are in defence. What can Senegal do against them?
We'll see if we've mentioned about Idrissa Gana Gueye, obviously, playing in that middle of that 3. He'll have to get himself up close to Dia. And straight away, what I noticed there from Ecuador, they kicked off, come back to Hincapié. All he did, he just launched it forward straight away, didn't he, into the Senegalese back forward, if to say we're not going to try and play out from the back too much too early. We're going to make sure we put you under pressure.
As we look at it, Ecuador playing from right to left in this first half. Senegal attacking the goal away to our right. The reigning African champions. They won the Cup of Nations, Senegal, for the first time in their history in February. They beat Egypt in the final on penalties after a goalless draw, and they also beat Egypt on penalties in their final World Cup playoff. So they have shown they've got ice in their veins. But here comes Carlos Gruezo, early run through midfield for Ecuador, out to the left, and the captain Enner Valencia restored all of their goals in the World Cup finals in Qatar this year. But Kalidou Koulibaly comes out to clear the ball to safety. It's going to be a throw to Ecuador on the near side, the left.
There's good play from Guezo, just switching the play. The centre circle out to left hand side. Was a little test there, wasn't there, for Enner Valencia straight away with his hamstring and his knee. He's at full stretch, decent touch, goes out for throw-in, and Ecuador get themselves possession. And
he first damaged his knee against Qatar in the opening game, scored both goals in that 2-0 victory, rather routine victory for Ecuador, truth be told, and then he was stretchered off in the 1-1 draw against the Netherlands. Ecuador conceded very early on in that game, goal from Cody Gakpo, but they managed to find an equaliser through Valencia. And actually, arguably the better team against the Dutch.
Second half, definitely. They're the ones who are pressing, looking to go and win the game. I was looking at their, you'll have a stat, Kevin, I was looking at their stats. I think the Dutch only had 2 shots and 1 was on target, and obviously Gakpo scored. But so Ecuador are very, very difficult to break down. They're very disciplined in their defensive shape.
Ecuador have only allowed 1 shot on target in the whole tournament so far. Early run from Pap Gay, low ball towards the edge of the penalty area, big early chance, and it is wide of the target, and it was Idrissa Gana Gueye who made the late run into the box, just inside the penalty area, right foot shot, rippled the side netting, and a big early chance missed by Senegal.
Great play down the left hand side from Pap Gay, with his left foot just pulls it back. Idrissa Gana Gueye get himself into the 18-yard box, and he has to hit the target as the ball's running across him. He's let it go onto his right foot. If you're going to do that, you've got to make sure then you ping it back across Galindez and go in the far corner, and he sliced it and missed the target completely. Brilliant chance for Senegal.
Still only 1 shot on target allowed by Ecuador, but it was mighty close. That was a real scare for them. We've had 3.5 minutes. You're listening to live World Cup action from Group A on TalkSport 2. Part of the wall-to-wall coverage of the tournament across the TalkSport network. Well won by one of the new men in the side, Pathé Ciss. One of 3 changes to the team, and now a bit of room to manoeuvre on the left-hand side, and Galindez came a long way out to meet Ismail Assar. The flag was up in any case, but Galindez, the 35-year-old, wasn't to know that, came a long way from home, got there ahead of Sarr, and cleared to safety, but the flag did go up.
John, that's so frustrating. It's a high line from the Ecuador back 2 at that time, and you can tell straight away that Sarr's, 2-3 yards offside. So then play continues, then Galindez, who's playing as a sweeper keeper, he comes out, he clatters into Sarr, obviously clears the butt. You can easily get a goalkeeper, can easily get injured. So it's really frustrating that something as obvious as offside as that, they let it play.
It's a really difficult one, Perry, isn't it? Because they're terrified of whistling a play dead, but actually you go back and you find out that it was onside. So I can see the logic, but I can also see why it's frustrating. Here's Estupiñán charging down the left for Ecuador. He's played really well, the Brighton left back. Was on Watford's books at one stage. Reached the Champions League semi-finals with Villarreal last season, played against Liverpool in that Final Four clash. But well won here by Senegal, and it's Boulaye Dia leading the charge here for the African champions. He's forced out towards the right-hand side, the big number 9, and the ball goes out of play for a Senegalese throw. 5 minutes gone on TalkSport 2. Ecuador 0, Senegal 0. Ecuador know if they avoid defeat, they go through.
Yeah, Dia did really well there. Obviously, he's playing up front on his own. For Ecuador, Guezo is the one who looks like he wants to drop that little bit deeper, to be that playmaker, that continuity sort of ball player. So it looks like Dia has been told, if he gets on the ball, you're the first one who's got to engage him. Exactly what he did there.
Mix-up between Chelsea players there, as Kalidou Koulibaly's wayward pass was only just prevented from going over the line for a corner by Edouard Mendy. Neither player in particularly good form this season. Koulibaly has struggled since joining Chelsea from Napoli, where he was revered, so much so he had a pizza named after him in Naples. And Mendy lost his place to Kepa. He had an injury problem and then couldn't get his place back, but an injury to Kepa saw Mendy restored, and Mendy had a poor game really against the Netherlands, maybe at fault for both goals against them, but much better in the second game against Qatar. Bit of room here for Iliman Ndiaye down the right hand side, low ball into the penalty area, cut out by Felix Torres, and then Galindez able to sweep it up. Slight appeal for a back pass there, but it was nothing of the sort, and 6 minutes gone on his goals.
Really good defending from Torres there, because sometimes as a centre half you have to mark space, and he made sure he just occupied that space at near post, got a long leg out, like expect a gadget leg, like extended his leg,
There's one for the teenagers.
Just come off his toe. Said it wasn't a back pass to Galindez, it was just an interception.
See, people of our generation would understand that Inspector Gadget reference. And if you don't know what we're talking about, check it out.
Exactly.
Here is Piero Hincapié for Ecuador, centre-back. Very highly rated, he's only 20. He was snapped up by Leverkusen after they saw his performances in the Copa America. Didn't even meet him. Ball nearly ran loose there on the edge of the Senegalese area for Enna Valencia, but they sorted it out between them there. Senegal cleared by Abdou Diallo. Ismaila Sarr trying to run at Preciado, but the whistle has gone. 7 minutes gone here on TalkSport 2. Ecuador 0, Senegal 0. The other game in the group is between the Netherlands and the hosts Qatar, and that's goalless as well.
Just looking at the way that Ecuador set up, obviously we know that a draw takes them through, but looking at their fullbacks, Espinian on the left-hand side and Preciado on the right-hand side, when they're in possession, they play as basically, they're playing a 4, but they play as wing-backs. Just looked at Espinian there, he was basically playing as a left winger when they're in possession.
It's fun. It's what we want to see. The game has certainly changed when it comes to fullbacks these days. Great header away by Hincapié, but here comes Senegal. Poke through. Big chance here. Dragged wide. Boulaye Dia, 8 yards out, inside right channel in the penalty area. Puts his head in his hands because he knows that was a massive opportunity, but he failed to hit the target.
Boulaye Dia's got to hit the target, said there. Good link-up play. Just beats the offside trap, gets himself in behind Torres. And again, all he's got to do is make sure that he makes the goalkeeper make a save, and he's just completely sort of scuffed it. Galindez doesn't have to dive, basically. And again, Ecuador, they must have some sort of jinx on their goal because there's another shot that hasn't been on target.
It's almost like some kind of magnetic force repelling the ball and not allowing it to hit the target. Boulaye Dia scored in the last game against Qatar. He's had to really fight to get here. When he was 12, he missed a trial with Saint-Etienne because his dad's car broke down on the way. He was rejected by Lyon a year later because they said he was too small and unlikely to grow enough. Here comes Enna Valencia at the other end for Ecuador. Challenged on the edge of the area. Breaks for Estrada. Moises Caicedo trying to win it and is brought down by Idrissa Gana Gueye, and that's going to be a free kick to Ecuador in a decent position, pretty central. And that was good work from Caicedo, who's so good at that foraging in midfield. Yeah,
he's good at winning the ball back. He's very strong in his upper body. Gets his body in between the opponent and the ball. They said there's a free kick for Ecuador, probably 30, 35, 37 yards out. Looks like Enna Valencia's going to pull rank because basically he's born it.
I think if anybody can pull rank, it's him. Considering he scored all of their World Cup goals in 2014 and he scored all of their World Cup goals in 2022, and he is the only show in town at the moment. He's placed this ball, it's just slightly to the right of centre, and it is, as Perry Groves has quite rightly said, a long way out. Deep breath for Enna Valencia. Steely focus. Here he comes, the number 13. Right foot shot, it was travelling and it hit the wall. Comes out to Preciado. Right hand side, curling cross, headed away. Not very far, Valencia's shot again. He's deflected and Mendy delighted just to fall on the loose ball, and the danger passes, but Valencia threatening not once but twice.
Yeah, in the end it was good defending from Senegal. Koulibaly and Diallo making sure they get out to the ball very quickly when it comes to any of the to stop shot.
Here's Iliman Ndiaye down the right hand side for Senegal. Great ball across the face of goal. Couldn't quite find Boulaye Dia on the near post, and it was swept behind by Preciado, and he's had a couple of good runs down the right. Iliman Ndiaye.
Yeah, it's good play from Ndiaye. Just gets his head up, just throws a really good ball across the 6-yard box. What you need there is Dia maybe just to get himself more central, and it's the tap in. But they've had a lot of joy, Senegal down Ecuador's left-hand side. We said about them pushing the fullbacks up very high, and that's what they're trying to exploit.
Here comes the corner. Idrissa Gana Gueye. It's high, fisted away by Galindez. Shot from the edge of the area by Sarr. That's charged down. It's going to spin out to the left-hand side for Idrissa Gana Gueye, the Everton midfielder. Curling cross towards the penalty area, but hammered away by Preciado. Well, if we thought this was going to be, fairly cautious in the opening exchanges, we've been disabused of that notion. It's been great stuff so far. 11 minutes gone on TalkSport 2. Ecuador 0, Senegal.
Yeah, it's been like a basketball match. Both teams looking forward to go forward very quickly. You have to say that it's been Senegal have had the 2 best chances. Dia missing the target. Idrissa Gana Gueye after the 3rd minute again should hit the target. So I think Aliou Cisse, the Senegalese manager, will be pleased the way his team started, but you have to be clinical. You have to take your chances because Ecuador don't give away a lot of chances.
Here's Boulaye. He's had one of those big chances on the left-hand side, works it infield. It's swung across to the right-hand side for Youssouf Sabaly, the right-back who loves to get forward. Clips it into the penalty area, flicked on away by Preciado. Here is Iliman Ndiaye, edge of the area, left foot shot. He was trying to curl it just inside the far post, but it just wouldn't bend in there for him. And it floats wide of the target, and it remains 0-0.
Yeah, just look, Sabaly playing it right back for Senegal. His delivery and his final pass in this first 12 minutes has been high quality. Every time he's made the right decision, whether he's got himself to the byline, he's cut the ball back there, just trying to feed the ball into the box. It looks like he's got good distribution.
He's had a really good tournament so far. Youssouf Sabaly won the Copa del Rey in Spain with Real Betis. He's a dangerous right back for a Senegal team that won the African Cup of Nations in style. And there was a certain symmetry to it when you think that the coach Aliou Cisse missed the crucial spot kick in the African Cup of Nations final 20 years ago. The Senegal lost to Cameroon. A couple of decades later, he watched his team win that tournament on penalties. Here is Estupiñán, wearing number 7, which is an unusual number for a left-back, but it's a very attacking left-back.
So he's playing virtually as a left wing back, even though it's in the forward. And what you notice is Caicedo actually comes out to this sort of left-hand side as well, a little bit deeper, like a Granit Xhaka and Zinchenko, their little movements where he comes inside, and that allows Estupiñán to push a bit further forward. Bit
of room here for Plata down the right-hand side. He's cross-deflected towards Valencia. He's trying to touch it inside the defender, and it was actually really good cover from Pathé Ciss, helping out from midfield. He just got in Valencia's way there as he tried to fashion a shooting opportunity, and Senegal able to clear. Here comes Sabaly over halfway down the right-hand side, works it to Iliman Ndiaye. He's made a good lively start to the game, comes inside one challenge and then works it infield to Idrissa Gana Gueye, wearing number 5. Now it's with Pape Gueye out to the left-hand side, and Ismaïla Sarr waiting for support to arrive. Pape Gueye, low ball in, and that's gobbled up at the near post by Hernan Galindez. 14 minutes gone here on TalkSport 2. It remains goalless between Ecuador and Senegal. Tonight it's the Battle of Britain in Group B between England and Wales. That'll be on TalkSport from 7 with Jim Proudfoot, Stuart Pearce and Dean Saunders. Here on TalkSport 2 we'll have the other game in that group between Iran and the USA with Mark Wilson and Chris Owelamo. In that group no one is through, no one's yet been eliminated. Only a heavy defeat would see England crash out. Galindez with a long clearance downfield for Ecuador. Estrada out-jumped well by Abdou Diallo, and that's going to be a free kick to Senegal. Their World Cup in Russia 4 years ago ended in agonising circumstances. They finished level with Japan, ended up going out because of an inferior disciplinary record, which at the time was an unprecedented situation. And the coach Aliou Cisse, remarkably sanguine about that at the time, he said, well, they're the rules, so we don't deserve to go through.
They're the rules by somebody who's probably never played football.
Although they were getting down to, you know, the last few markers because they were level on everything else, so we were heading towards coin toss territory. So
what about penalty shootout?
Oh, now he's making a policy on the hoof here. Perry Groves.
Doesn't matter, they're probably like 500 miles apart. If you do it once, some take penalties in one stadium, the other take in the other stadium.
Get him into FIFA.
The thing is, you'd rather do that on football terms. You know, I know they're saying you should keep your discipline, but it must have been he was very diplomatic, wasn't he, Aliou Cisse?
Incredibly
so.
Because
inside, I think it'd have been absolutely seething.
He's a very impressive man, Aliou Cisse. He's been in charge since 2015. He won 35 caps as a player, had spells at Birmingham and Portsmouth as a midfielder. Sent off in his Premier League debut. He's been in various coaching roles with Senegal for a decade now. His team's on the charge here. Cross in from Idrissa Gana Gueye, and it was just getting away from Ismaïla Sarr, and I think he's handled that actually as he's tried to bring it down. 16 on the watch, Ecuador 0, Senegal 0.
It's a right idea from Idrissa Gana Gueye, but Ismaïla Sarr there, just when he's in that left forward position, he's come in a little bit too flat. He's gone in too early. Whereas if you just hang out a little bit, then you've got an area to go and attack.
Terrific noise around the stadium Got all manner of musical instruments, all manner of dancing going on.
The Senegalese bring unbelievable colour, don't they? Vibrancy and fun. But I wonder how many of them actually watching what's going on the pitch.
The game's incidental.
It's more just like, should we have a party? And then, oh look, we've scored.
And there's nothing necessarily wrong with that.
That's fantastic. They completely add to the occasion. It's a fantastic atmosphere.
Ball flicked on by Estrada. He was looking for Enner Valencia. It is genuine front three for Ecuador. Played 5 at the back against the Dutch, but they've picked a more attacking line at this time around, as Hincapié just looks to let that ball run. Idrissa Gana Gueye was putting pressure on him, and Hincapié, the young defender, has given away a corner there. He was kind of suckered into that, really.
Yeah, just trying to play a little ricochet there, wasn't he, off of Idrissa Gana Gueye, and Gana Gueye made sure that he didn't commit himself. Hincapié was a little bit unlucky. We said there, corner for Senegal on the right-hand side.
Started really well, Perry. It's going to be a corner on this right side. Boulaye Dia is just on the edge of the 6-yard box. Got plenty of targets to aim for at the far post. Koulibaly and Diallo up from the back. Pathé Ciss hanging around as well, so needs a good delivery here. Ecuador under pressure in the opening exchanges of this game in Al Rayyan. It'll be whipped in by Ismail Jakobs, left-footed. The left-back goalkeeper comes, and again the double punch from him, and it clears the box, so did a good job. And now Gruezo, too strong for his man, and will bring that out towards Plata, racing down the far touchline, the right as we look at it. Works it back in field towards Gruezo, but it was good tracking back from Pathé Ciss, who's done that a couple of times now for Senegal, and in the end Senegal win the free kick. And that was really high work rate there from Pathé Ciss, and having to do that at times.
Yeah, Pathé Ciss was the first one who sort of reacted, but you see there from the Senegalese, they're getting caught on the counter-attack, but you had 6 or 7 actually sprinting to get themselves back goal side. In the end, Gruezo took a heavy touch, and it just nicked off his foot.
Pathé Ciss only made his debut for Senegal in September. Plays for Rayo Vallecano in Spain. Foul by Ismail Assar on Preciado. It's a good battle between those two out there, and Preciado is rolling on the floor in agony. Just got away from Ismail Assar, and there was a coming together. It wasn't the most violent thing I've ever seen. No,
it was just a knee on knee, wasn't it? It was just a bad touch from Ismail Assar. So Preciado closing him down, just got away from Ismail Assar. Preciado did really well, nicked it off of his toe, and then just a clash of knees.
Yeah, that's a painful one for Preciado, who's still down on the turf. Remember, we'll have every Premier League game when the top flight returns on Boxing Day, plus games on the 27th and 28th of December. They include Brentford, Spurs, Arsenal, West Ham, Aston Villa, Liverpool, Leeds, Manchester City, Manchester United against Nottingham Forest, all coming your way on the TalkSport network. Goalless between Ecuador and Senegal, nearly 20 minutes on the watch.
You see the FIFA official, the FIFA doctor, ready with the lifeboat on the touchline. I think, well,
just in case.
Yeah, well, I'll get myself on the telly.
It's not quite Baywatch, is it?
Yeah, we ain't going to be used, but let's show that we're ready to go. There's nowhere in the world that he's going to need to be stretchered off, so it's just a clash of knees.
Clément Turpin, the French referee, who was in charge of the Champions League final earlier this year between Liverpool and Real Madrid, just coming across to see what the hold-up is. He's been on the turf a fair old while now, Preciado, in that clash with Ismail Assar, who's had an interesting season with Watford, 6 goals in 17 appearances. He's a player that we know has quality, he's a player we know has pace, Perry, but maybe not always the consistency to go with it.
I think with those sort of players, you mentioned, and Jay as well on the other side, wasn't we, about his form for Sheffield United this season, and they're the sort of players, when they're on it, they can be well beaters, be absolutely unplayable, but when they're off it, they can fall over their shin pads. And that you can normally tell within the first sort of 10-15 minutes. So it's like a feast or famine, and to say when they're really on block, you go with them. But sometimes they don't do their job defensively. So he said he's having a nice little battle out on the right-hand side of the Ecuadorian defence with Preciado.
Gustavo Alfaro just telling his players to calm down. It's his first international job, this. He's an Argentinian, been in charge of 12 different clubs in Argentina and Saudi Arabia, including the great Boca Juniors. 60 now, Gustavo Alfaro. And this is his first taste of the World Cup. Estrada trying to chase through, and he needed Abdou Diallo to deal with the danger there. The Leipzig centre-back, who's played a mixture of left-back and centre-back for Senegal in this World Cup. And he's done exactly the same thing at club level as well for the likes of Mainz and Dortmund, Paris Saint-Germain, and now RB Leipzig, and he dealt with the danger there. Here's Hincapié just approaching halfway for Ecuador. 22 minutes gone. It's goalless between Ecuador and Senegal. It's worth bearing in mind that Ecuador can still win this group if they get a better result than the Netherlands managed against Qatar. And winning that group could be very useful indeed, because whoever finishes second in this group know that there's a decent chance they'll run into England in the last 16.
And was it last time that Ecuador got into the last 16? That's who we played, wasn't it?
Exactly.
England.
Ran into England, and a certain David Beckham was able to score the only goal of the game. Bit of room here for Pat Gay, just working it back to the left-back zone of Senegal, the far side, the left as we look at it, and they chip it forwards, looking for the run of Boulaye Dia. Good header away, though, by Felix Torres, and now it comes down for Dia. Nice little hurdle there to get away from the challenge of Gruezo. Works it to his right, and Sabali midway inside the Ecuadorian half on the near side, the right, as we look at it. Here's Boulaye Dia, spinning infield. He's strong, and he tries to hold off Estupiñán, and he does just that. And then Pape Ciss gives the ball away. He's charged down quickly by Enner Valencia, working ever so hard there, the striker and captain, just to help his team out in a tricky situation. And they've got possession back, and Hincapié just rolls it back gently to his goalkeeper Galindez, all in blue. The oldest player to represent Ecuador in a World Cup finals, Hernan Galindez, 35 now. He only made his debut for his country last year, so it's been something of a renaissance for him. Here's Ismaïla Sarr, scampering down the left into the box, onto his right foot, goes for goal, and just wide of the target from Ismaïla Sarr. Cut in on that right foot, went for goal. Must have taken a deflection, actually, so I think it will be a Senegalese corner.
It's good play from Ismaïla Sarr, using his body strength. Preciado's got to do better. He's looking for the foul. Ismaïla Sarr just cuts in on the left-hand side of the box with his right foot, tries to bend it just in Galindez, top left-hand corner, gets a slight deflection.
Didn't miss by much, the effort from Ismaïla Sarr, and it will be a corner on the near side, the right, as we look at it for Senegal. Jacobs raises a tattooed arm and plays it in left-footed again. The goalkeeper fists it away, only as far as Pat Gay. Low shot, that's blocked. Comes back out to the edge of the box for Idrissa Gana Gueye. Out to his right, and Jacobs, left-footed ball in, flicked on. It's a looping header, but that's comfortable for Galindez. And with 24 and a half minutes gone on TalkSport 2, it's Ecuador 0, Senegal 0.
I mean, decent delivery from Jacobs from the right-hand side with his left foot. One thing that really gets my goat is when the corner keeps hitting the first man. And he's made sure he hasn't done that. Galindez has actually come out and punched both corners. So why don't Senegal put a player in front of Galindez to stop him coming out and clearing the danger? Because you can tell that he's a goalkeeper's on the front foot. He wants to come out and clear it. Just put someone just to block him.
They have had an incredible defensive record. That goal they conceded against the Netherlands ended a run of 7 straight clean sheets. Their build-up to the World Cup was not exactly thrill-a-minute. They played out goalless draws against Mexico, Saudi Arabia, Japan and Iraq. Not exactly box office, but it got the job done.
We always try to put the mockers on. He wasn't really giving the odds beforehand, and I was thinking, please don't say there's been 4 0-0s out of the last 8 games.
Definitely his fault if it's 0-0.
But it hasn't had the feel of a 0-0 game, is it? It's not as if like Ecuador just sitting there trying to sort of soak up pressure.
Won by Estupiñán, inside left channel, approaching the left corner of the penalty area. Can tell you Cody Gakpo has just put the Netherlands 1-0 up against Qatar. What a tournament he's having right now.
So his 3rd goal this tournament.
Scored in all 3 games so far.
Saw him play for PSV against Arsenal when he was very, very good at the Emirates, where he was playing more of a sort of left-sided role that evening, and you could just tell that he'll be probably the next one, gets himself a big move, and his agent's probably sitting up in the stand thinking, that's handy, there's another 10 million we signed on for.
The phone lighting up every so often. Yeah, goals and assists galore for Gakpo in the Eredivisie for PSV. Now here come Senegal. There's a good challenge from Caicedo. He's another player in demand, but of course Brighton keen to hang on to him for as long as possible. Plays it square to Preciado, the long-haired right back. Works it out to the far touchline, and Gonzalo Plata, he will take on Jacobs. Nice little step over onto his left foot. Low ball into the penalty area. Swept away by Kalidou Koulibaly. And then free kick is won in midfield. The decision goes against Gonzalo Plata, who is only 22. Played 16 of the 18 qualifiers. Plays for Valladolid in Spain. And he is a rising star. He's another one who's been linked with a number of clubs, namely in the Premier League, actually. Likes of Newcastle have been linked with him. Senegal have won themselves a throw on this near side the right as we look at it. In the Ecuadorian half, and it's with Iliman Ndiaye. Works it in field, finding Pape Six. He keeps it going out to the left-hand side, and Ismail Jacobs works it down that far touchline for Ismail Assar, but just got away from him, and Preciado can clear now for Ecuador. And Senegal, Perry, still very much on the front foot.
Yeah, you can tell they were trying to get it into the wide areas. The pace of Sarr on the left-hand side and Jar on the right-hand side. It's just, as I said earlier, they've had the two best chances from Jar and Idrissa Gana game, and they haven't hit the target on both occasions. And Ecuador don't give you that many chances. You've got to be, if they want to progress in the tournament and obviously win this game, they've got to be more clinical.
Here's Sabali charging down that right touchline for Senegal, and he wriggles away from one challenge and then another and finds Iliman Ndiaye, who was quickly dealt with there by Nkapie, but Ecuador only able to half clear it, and Senegal have worked it to the left-hand side for Jacobs. He funnels it down that far side for Sarr. Curling cross into the penalty area, and Iliman Ndiaye was coming onto it, but he only got a rather weak contact, and the ball dribbled through almost apologetically to Hernan Galindez.
Ndiaye just trying to get himself across the near post. Nkapie did really well. Just made sure, again, using his body. I've been very impressed with him in Nkapie defensively. He seems very cool. He seems he's good on the ball. He's got that balance on the left-hand side for Ecuador, and he seems to be aware of danger, what's going on around him.
He's had a mixed season, really, with Bayer Leverkusen, who've struggled in general in the German Bundesliga. He's been sent off a couple of times this season, Pierre Nkapie, but they rate him incredibly highly. They knew as soon as they saw him playing for Ecuador in the Copa, there would be lots of clubs coming in for him, and so Simon Rolfes, the sporting director, said, OK, let's just sign him before anybody else does, and there's clear talent there.
Yeah, very much so. It might be sort of a Harry Maguire situation, won't it, where he feels more at home and more comfortable in the international arena, because they're probably better set up than what Bayer Leverkusen are defensively.
I think that's entirely fair, and I think anybody who's watched Bayer Leverkusen this season would fully agree with that. We're approaching the half-hour mark at the Khalifa International Stadium in Al Rayyan, and it is Ecuador 0, Senegal 0. You're listening to the World Cup on TalkSport 2, wall-to-wall coverage of the tournament across the TalkSport network, and later we have got that game between England and Wales. That is going to be fascinating. That'll be on TalkSport, on TalkSport 2. We'll have the game between Iran and the USA. Both qualification spots, in theory, up for grabs. But it would take some disaster for England to fail to qualify entirely. Here's Koulibaly holding off the challenge of Alan Franco, who hasn't really been able to get involved. The midfielder plays for Talleres in Argentina. Brought in today. All thrashed away by Nkapie, and here comes Gruezo, who is very much a defensive midfielder. He's only ever scored once in the Bundesliga. That was back in 2014. He's only ever scored once for Ecuador, and this is his 47th cap. Senegal have won it back in midfield, and it's Iliman Ndiaye. 9 goals for Sheffield United this season. Played up that right touchline, but Nkapie again comes across and just shuts them down. And even though they gave up a couple of big chances early on, Perry, they are defending well. Yeah,
as you say, they've got a very good defensive structure. When they're out of possession, then they get back into their sort of flat back four. You mentioned there, Gruezo's the one who sort of sits that little bit deeper to protect two centre-halves. That was Caicedo. He has the licence to roam, doesn't he, for Ecuador, to try and get himself on the ball.
Ecuador are unbeaten in the last 4 World Cup games. It's their longest ever sequence. They've never gone through a whole group stage unbeaten, but they're on the verge of doing just that, having beaten Qatar 2-0 and then drawn 1-1 with the Netherlands, a game in which they played extremely well. Senegal not pressing at this stage, allowing Nkapie to approach halfway. Bleach blonde hair, that's been done fairly recently. Always a bit of a risk. That's just jealousy from me.
Well, I think hair's very overrated, to be fair.
I wasn't going to say anything, Perry. Here's Preciado, just shy of halfway, and he's quickly closed down by Pape Gueye. He's been brought in for his energy. Player who played in that African Cup of Nations final against Egypt, Pape Gueye.
Just looking at Ecuador there, we talk about Guerreiro, who drops deeper at the midfield. He actually goes in to the back three, and he becomes the centre of the defenders, doesn't he? And he lets Torres on the right-hand side and Nkapie on the left. Then they go and push in the wider areas. That's
the role that Jackson Mendes played really in the first two games for Ecuador, but he's suspended for this game, having picked up a couple of yellow cards in the tournament. They only have one player who's one booking from suspension, Ecuador, at the moment. That's Moises Caicedo. Here he is, Zena Valencia, chasing down the left-hand side, crunched by Koulibaly, the captain, who was across quickly to deal with the danger. Hasn't hit the heights Kalidou Koulibaly at Stamford Bridge, but he's an outstanding player. Played every minute in qualifying for Senegal. But he has been booked in his last three games for Chelsea. He was sent off against Leeds. And he just hasn't settled, has he, in West London?
Do you think as well it's to do with Graham Potter? He's quite eclectic, isn't he, in his team shape and positions that his players play in. I think Koulibaly looks like he wants a solid structure when he knows he can then have partnerships, whether playing someone on the right-hand side of him or left-hand side, whereas Graham Potter likes to sort of change it up, doesn't he, every game.
And he's been in Italy for a long, long time. It was actually Rafa Benitez who brought Koulibaly to Napoli. That was 8 years ago. Went on to become one of the best defenders in Serie A. But I think we forget sometimes that players are human. New country, it's
different cultures.
Completely.
Yep.
And you leave somewhere where you were absolutely adored and idolised, and then suddenly you're just another member of the squad who's got to prove it all over again. As things stand, Netherlands are going through as Group A winners, and Ecuador are going through as the runners-up. 0-0 between Ecuador and Senegal at the moment, with 34 gone on TalkSport 2, as Estupiñán tries to charge forward down the left-hand side, the near side as we look at it. It's a good battle out between him and Youssouf Sabaly, both energetic, both forceful.
And both of them like getting forward, don't they? They're saying playing as in back fours, but basically their strength is as wing-backs.
So who are you relying on then to come and cover you? If you've made that run, whose responsibility is it to come and make sure that you haven't left acres of space behind you?
Well, what you hope is that your centre-halves then drift across, and we mentioned about the midfield players, especially for Ecuador, Guerreiro, who drops a bit deeper, and Pape Gueye for Senegal.
It was a scary moment there for Koulibaly, who played the ball across his own penalty area, and Gonzalo Plata for Ecuador was ever so close to latching onto that. He couldn't quite get there. Forward here by Pape Cisse over the top. Goalkeeper came and just about got away with that. There was a touch from Nkapie that nearly took it crucially wide of his goalkeeper under pressure from Boulaye Dia, but in the end Hernan Galindez is able to fall on the ball and the danger passes.
Yeah, it's just Dia just getting himself in between the two Ecuadorian centre-halves of Torres and Nkapie. But when you're going to do that, you've got to make sure that your goalkeeper has that sweeper-keeper position, exactly what Galindez is there. So he got a little deflection, looked like he might take it past Galindez. But again, he looks very cool, doesn't he? Very calm, Galindez.
Yeah, he's replaced the guy who was the regular first-team goalkeeper for a long time, another fellow veteran who's in the squad at the moment, Alexander Dominguez, who played all three games for Ecuador back in 2014. But, as I say, Galindez brought in and he's held on to the shirt, as Sabaly is shoved over by Estupiñán.
To be fair, Estupiñán actually held on to Sabaly's shirt there as well, didn't he?
It's going to be a free kick for Senegal on this near side the right as we look at it. Around about 6 or 7 yards in from the near touch line, and Ismail Jakobs, who played a lot of youth football for Germany, played 9 times for their under-21 team, but then made the switch to Senegal. He stands over it. They've got a couple of options here. Jacobs with the in-swinger, just Gay with the out-swinger. It is going to be Jacobs teasing it in towards the penalty spot, and the header lands on the roof of the net. It was Pape Cis who rose highest, and no real problem for the goalkeeper Galindez.
Yeah, Jacob's delivery from the set piece has been very, very good. He makes sure he just puts it into like danger. So Pape Cis there was a free header, couldn't quite get himself over the top of the ball. In the end, just goes harmlessly over Galindez's crossbar.
It's only his third cap. Pape Cis never scored for his country. Here's Pat Gay winning that ball just in field from the left touchline. Works it to Ismail Jacobs, who was born in Cologne. Played for his hometown club, FC Köln, before moving on to Monaco. Qualifies for Senegal through his father. Ball is loose here for Sabali for Senegal. Inside right channel, forward towards Iliman Ndiaye. Right corner of the penalty area. Ndiaye twisting away from Nkapie. Edge of the area, they fed it through. Sabali can't get his shot away. Excellent defending in the end from Ecuador. But that was great work down that inside right channel from Senegal. But they were denied by Ecuador.
Yeah. Sabali couldn't quite get the ball out of his feet. You know, it made a good run from out to in. Said it. Most of Senegal's dangerous players come down their right-hand side. Again, it sort of epitomised it, just getting into the 18-yard box and the ball breaking down.
Of course, they were without their star forwards, Sadio Mane, their talisman. He picked up a serious tendon injury playing for Bayern Munich. And it was in the penultimate Bayern game of the year, actually. He picked up that injury against Werder Bremen. Senegal did name him in their squad originally. They wanted to bring him along, but then he had an operation in Innsbruck. And he is now recovering. It's expected he will miss the resumption in the Bundesliga. Their league doesn't start again until January the 20th. There was a crunching challenge between Ismaila Sarr and Moises Caicedo, and Caicedo, he's still down, Perry.
Yeah, looks like he's maybe twisted his ankle in the challenge. It was a good challenge from Ismaila Sarr. It wasn't over the top of the ball, you know, just like a 50-50. And unfortunately for Caicedo, he's just put his sort of ankle in the turf, and it looks like he just twisted it.
Who do you think is going to be the happier of the two coaches so far? Obviously, Senegal need to score.
Well, I think on the balance of play, you'd say Senegal have had the better chances. Like, neither goalkeeper's had a save to make at the moment, but Senegal in the first 15 minutes have said that Dia had a great chance. Idris Gay had an excellent chance in it at the target. Ecuador haven't really been a threat going forward. So I think Gustavo Alfaro, the Ecuadorian manager, he'll be disappointed that not in their attitude and the way they've set about the game, but again, they just want to create more problems and more chances for Senegalese back four.
Caicedo back on his feet, the number 23 for Ecuador. He was given the job of man-marking Lionel Messi when he made his international debut against Argentina in 2020. Cheers for that. Yeah, Messi did score, but only from the penalty spot. Ecuador only lost 1-0, but there are easier jobs in football than trying to keep that man under wraps. But he is some player, Caicedo. He's come on leaps and bounds on the south coast with Brighton. Back on his feet. Played 15 of the 18 qualifiers, Moises Caicedo. And they were strong defensively, Ecuador, in South American qualifying. Finished fourth in the end. They only conceded 19 goals, but scored more than they'd ever scored before in qualifying. They got 27 in 18 matches. Had some good results against the big hitters. Held Argentina and Brazil to 1-1 draws in Ecuador. Bit of space here for Estrada, who's not really got going so far, Michael Estrada, who was their top scorer in qualifying. And then there's an offside against Senegal. It's on a knife edge, isn't it?
It's on a knife edge, but it's just been a sort of little lull, isn't there, in proceedings, because I think, especially Senegal, they want to get into half-time, and they'll be happy with, obviously they want to go 1-0, but they'll be happy with 0-0. You know, so they're still in the fight, and then they can maybe start making some more offensive changes in the second half, where Aliou Cissé will then start to take more chances and throw more forwards on, but you've still got to be in the game to be able to do that.
Preciado's just gone hurtling into Pat Gay. Doesn't do half measures, Angelo Preciado. Plays for Genk in the Belgian league. They're top at the moment in Belgium. Ball running loose in the penalty area here, and Nkapie went flying into the challenge, and it's a penalty. It was just a long ball into the box that caught Ecuador out. Hincapié went flying in, and he is given away a penalty. Ismaïla Sarr brought down. Clément Turpin, the French referee, with no hesitation, pointed to the spot. And a big opportunity here for Senegal.
Yeah, Ismaïla Sarr using that pace from the left-hand side, gets his foot to the ball first, saying Hincapié coming across, just a rash challenge. Kev, it's 100% a penalty. Hincapié doesn't think that Ismaïla Sarr is going to get there. It's a coming together. We said that Clément Turpin, the referee, had no hesitation in front of it. Even if it goes to VAR, that's not going to get overturned because they won't see that as a clear and obvious error. I think it's 100% a penalty.
It was a great run actually by Ismaïla Sarr. He got in behind Felix Torres, and Piero Hincapié suddenly felt he had a fire to fight and came across and made that challenge, and he's got the rueful look of a young man that knows he's made a mistake. Now we're in the 43rd minute, and this could be a big moment for both of these countries. Clément Turpin just waving away the protests, and Iliman Ndiaye, who has never scored at international level, has picked up the ball with purpose. He's only 22. Sheffield United fans know all about how good he is, but he's actually passed that ball on. He had it, and he's had it removed from him by the man who won the penalty, Ismaïla Sarr. What a big moment for the Watford man. Ismaïla Sarr, the hopes of a nation on his shoulders. He was the one whose darting run won the spot kick. Massive moment in Group A, massive moment in the World Cup journey for both Senegal and Ecuador. Galindez staying on his line, being told to obey the rules by Clément Turpin. So here we go. Ismaïla Sarr, hands on hips, with the chance to put Senegal in front. It's Sarr with the spot kick, and he rolls it into the bottom corner. The goalkeeper rooted to the spot, and is that the goal that sends Senegal to the last 16 of the World Cup? Ismaïla Sarr won the penalty. Ismaïla Sarr scores the penalty. Ecuador 0, Senegal 1.
Kev, how cool there was Ismaïla Sarr. You could tell the concentration on his face. He took his time, waited for the referee to blow the whistle, and he had the little sort of mini steps, didn't he, where it's not a complete run-up where he's just taking little steps and you think, oh, are you going to have enough pace in the ball? He looked at Galindez. That's what they call goalkeeper dependent. He's waiting for Galindez to make his move. Galindez just goes to his right-hand side. Ismaïla Sarr just rolls it coolly and calmly to the left-hand side. What a fantastic penalty under that much pressure for his country.
Ice in his veins. Ismaïla Sarr, the Watford winger, puts Senegal in front late in this first half, and Senegal get their noses in front, and that's enough for them. At the moment, it's Senegal who are going through.
You know what always amazes me? When the player Ismaïla Sarr is looking at the goalkeeper and not looking at the ball. In a million years I wouldn't have the confidence to do that, because I'd be thinking I'd have kick the ball or miss the ball completely. But you can tell he's staring at the goalkeeper, waiting for him to make a move. And all it is, it's just to Galindez, he just puts his body weight, doesn't he, to his right-hand side. In that nanosecond, Ismaïla Sarr thinks, well, you can't go to your left. And he just rolls it confidently without looking at the ball. That's again, that's a modern-day penalty. That, you know, when you've got that much confidence and that much calmness, just to go, right, I know what I'm doing, I trust my technique, have some of that.
Ismaïla Sarr's penalty separates the teams. We're in stoppage time at the end of this first half, and Ecuador, so strong defensively, have been breached. And Senegal, in fairness to them, have made opportunities before that penalty. Boulaye Dia dragged an effort wide. Idrissa Gana Gueye nearly scored very early on, but rippled the side netting. And Gustavo Alfaro's men, suddenly, having played so well for so long in this World Cup, find themselves heading towards the abyss. Plenty of time to change it, of course. We've only had one of 6 additional minutes at the end of this first half, but as things stand, it's Netherlands top of the group with 7 points, Senegal second on 6, Ecuador going home, and here's Sarr again, down the left-hand side, taking on Preciado. Lays it off to Jacobs. Curling cross by him. Oh, it's come loose for Njai. Great footwork, but he couldn't get the left foot shot away. He did brilliantly to try and carve out the chance, but Ecuador charge it down, and it goes behind for a corner to Senegal.
I think when it comes to Njai, I think he should, as his chest controlled it down on the volley, should be hitting it with his right foot. He's trying to come back on his left foot. Be fair to Estepinian, he's actually got his blocking. Where if he hits it with his right foot on the volley, Estepinian can't get there.
Senegal sensing that there's an opportunity to get a second goal before half-time, and what a big step that would be. Galindez in short sleeves, wearing a powder blue goalkeeping kit, barking orders at his defenders. Idrissa Gana Gueye's out swinging corner towards the far post, headed away by Felix Torres. He was one of the defenders caught out really by that run by Ismaila Sarr ahead of the penalty. Sarr got in behind him, and Capier having to come across to make the challenge brought his man down, and Clement Turpin rightly giving the spot kick.
Yeah, Ismaila Sarr would have known when he gets himself away from Torres, then he can see Capier was coming in, and he knows, you get a feeling that you're just going to toe the ball first before the defender gets there. He does brilliantly to get the penalty, even better to dispatch it.
Took it beautifully, rolling it into the bottom corner with Galindez not making the move, and now there's a bit of nonsense between Sabali and a couple of Ecuadorian players, and one of those players is down. Sabali just holding his ground here. Moises Caicedo has come across to him, and that was all a bit meaningless there, Perry.
Yeah, there was
Zena Valencia who's down.
Yeah, Zena Valencia's holding his knee. You just hope, obviously, from his point, he's not hurt, because he's just looked around to see if the referee's what he's doing. And Valencia's trying to be shrewd there. He's a bit embarrassed, actually. He said Salamani didn't really do anything. You know, it was just a bit of sort of pushing and shoving. And Valencia throws himself to the floor, trying to get a Senegalese player to book in, and the referee's not having it.
Well, Njai's come across to the referee just to say his piece, and Clement Turpin, like an angry schoolmaster, told him to go away, effectively.
And then Valencia has actually thrown himself up in the air before he gets himself onto the deck, just to come in together, tangle the legs.
So Sabali's right foot is hooked around the back of one of Zena Valencia's legs, and he then, as Perry Groves has just said, jumps in the air over
it's
that
like
leg.
It's on a trumpet.
It's extraordinary. Wouldn't have looked at a place in Strictly Come Dancing, I imagine.
Yeah, Sabali is a big, strong, athletic player, isn't he? And as I say, it was a nothing. To be fair to Clement Turpin, the referee, he wasn't having it.
Oh, Jacobs has just gone across to Zena Valencia as if to say, what was all that about?
What are you doing?
And Valencia, with a bit of a sheepish smile, waved him away. Well, the Senegal fans, come what may, have been making their presence felt. The 7 fans with the body paint, each of them taking a letter of the word Senegal, all in the right order. Of course, it's very important to get these things well organised, and they have not stopped dancing since the first whistle. Here's Njai down the right-hand side for Senegal, edge of the penalty area. Lays it off to Sabali. Good cross, but just a little too high on the far post for Sarr, who's been absolutely everywhere for Senegal.
Yeah, Sabali again. It's a decent cross from that right-hand side. Basically just whips it in first time. Ismaila Sarr, I think sometimes he actually comes in too early. I think when you're on the far post, just make sure you've got that space to attack. You have to say, we're just coming up into the 5th minute of added on injury time in this first half, that Senegal, as the game's gone in, they've been by far the better team.
Ecuador 0, Senegal 1 on TalkSport 2, part of our wall-to-wall World Cup coverage across the TalkSport network. Later on, it's England against Wales, the Battle of Britain in Group B. That'll be on TalkSport at 7 with Jim Proudfoot, Stuart Pearce and Dean Saunders. Here on TalkSport 2, we'll have the other game in that group between Iran and the USA. Mark Wilson and Chris Uelemo, the former Scotland striker, on duty for that one. Nobody through from Group B yet, nobody eliminated. Only a heavy defeat would see England crash out. We are tiptoeing towards half-time at the Khalifa International Stadium, and indeed Clement Turpin blows his whistle, and Ismaila Sarr's penalty is the difference. And as things stand, Senegal are going through to the last 16, whereas Ecuador are going out. The South Americans with work to do in the second period. Perry Groves alongside me. You'd have to say, on the balance of play with the chances created, Senegal have been the better team. It's Gruezo who's the other player who's gone off. So Alan Franco and Carlos Gruezo off, Jose Cifuentes and Jeremy Sarmiento on. And it is Senegal who get us back underway, playing all in white in this second half, attacking the goal away to our left as we look at it. Ecuador in their iconic yellow shirts, dark blue shorts and dark blue socks, playing from left to right as we look at it. I'll go through those two full lineups for you in a moment. Ecuador have 45 minutes to save their World Cup dream. And as the ball runs out of play, I can give you those two teams. Let's start with Ecuador then. Hernan Galindez in goal. Pervis Estupiñán, Felix Torres, Piero Hincapié, who gave away the penalty, and Angelo Preciado at the back. Now in midfield, it's Jeremy Sarmiento, Jose Cifuentes and Moises Caicedo. And it's a front three of Enner Valencia, Michael Estrada and Gonzalo Plata. As for Senegal, well, they have a team as follows: Edouard Mendy in goal, Ismail Jakobs, Abdou Diallo, Kalidou Koulibaly and Youssouf Sabaly at the back. Pape Gueye and Pathé Ciss, the two holding midfielders. Ismail Assar, the goal scorer who won the penalty and then scored it. Idrissa Gana Gueye and Iliman Ndiaye all supporting the lone frontman Boulaye Dia, as Michael Estrada is brought down by Senegal and has won a free kick for Ecuador. And a rather brutal start to the half.
Yeah, I think again it's Ecuador trying to be a little bit more positive, get themselves on the front foot. Looks like Caicedo is going to go into the Gruezo role, maybe a little bit deeper, and Cifuentes just a little bit further in front of him. So don't think they've changed much of the shape, obviously just the personnel.
So free kick to Ecuador, which is just in field from the near side, the right touchline as we look at it. Preciado standing over it. Can they get the delivery right? Plata's there as well. Enner Valencia has not had much to aim for. Plata's ball in. It's headed away strongly by Kalidou Koulibaly, leading from the back, as it were. And here is Piero Hincapié, the number 3 for Ecuador. He gave away the penalty with a rather clumsy challenge. It was quick thinking all round by Senegal just before half-time. It was quickly taken free kick. Ismail Assar was on the right wavelength, got in behind Felix Torres, and Piero Hincapié, rather panicking, came across and brought him down. And Ismail Assar, with the ultimate coolness, put that ball into the bottom corner from 12 yards out. 2.5 minutes gone in the second half. Kevin Hatchard and the former Arsenal star Perry Groves, your commentators for Ecuador against Senegal on TalkSport 2. Part of our wall-to-wall coverage of the tournament across the TalkSport network, as Sarmiento gives the ball away cheaply, but Hincapié is able to go and get it back. It's only 20, Jeremy Sarmiento. He's played youth football for England. Here's Preciado, works it in field to Estrada. Little 1-2 with Plata on the edge of the Senegalese area. Now Preciado again, number 17, in field to Cifuentes. It's only 23. Here's Hincapié moving into space inside left channel, midway inside the Senegalese half. Now the captain, Enner Valencia, to Cifuentes. Right foot shot by him, but it's all along the floor, and it's comfortable for Edouard Mendy. But it is, at last, a shot on target.
First shot on target from Cifuentes. Just gets the ball out of his feet with his right foot. Basically said it's a P-roll, isn't it? Doesn't really trouble Edouard Mendy, the Senegalese goal, but at least Ecuador have looked to get the ball forward a little bit quicker. And we talked about Sarmiento, because in the first half Franco was virtually non-existent, and looks like Sarmiento has gone into sort of that inside left position, just probably a little bit further forward, and hopefully he can get a little bit of link-up play on that left-hand side with Enner Valencia.
I think I mentioned Alan Franco twice, maybe, in the first half.
One was a foul.
Yes. It was a tough half for him. Cifuentes started all 3 of LAFC's playoff games. Teammates with Gareth Bale, who scored a very important goal right at the end of that final, forced a penalty shootout. Here is Estupiñán down the left, but the free kick had already been given for a foul by Pathé Ciss on Enner Valencia. He's been incredibly energetic, Pathé Ciss, in that midfield area. If you go back to his 2020-21 season in Spain, he was sent off 4 times and he got 14 yellow cards.
So he's quite competitive and combative, should we say?
Just a bit. But he's been a lot more disciplined this time around.
Well, in that midfield area, obviously he's got Papgay next to him, but he covers a lot of ground, doesn't he? Although he's one of the holding midfield players.
There's the booming free kick from the left by Ecuador. They've rather wasted that. It's gone all the way through the penalty area, and then rather clumsy foul by Preciado on Ismail Assar, who's been man of the match so far. That seems obvious because he won the penalty and scored it, but his general play has been a threat down that left-hand side.
Yeah, he's given Preciado all sorts of problems. Not that he's been getting a lot of protection either. Last thing you want to be is left one-on-one with someone with Ismail Assar's pace. So he did brilliantly for the penalty when he got himself, his pace got himself across Torres, and then he knew, as I said, with that 4 or 5 extra strides that Hincapié coming across, he knew straight away he was going to get to the ball before Hincapié.
So it is Ecuador 0, Senegal 1. I can tell you that the Dutch have gone 2-0 up in their game against Qatar. So as things stand, they are cementing top spot in Group A, and that was expected. It was always likely to be a battle between these two for the runners-up spot, Ecuador and Senegal, and it's Senegal who'll get it at the moment. There's a long way to go as Sabali overruns it and then gets the free kick, and he's a little bit fortunate there, Youssouf Sabali, because the ball got away from him and he was caught, and Ecuador rather let him off the hook there.
Yeah, he said it was got caught underneath his studs, ball got away from him, and the challenge comes in from Sarmiento. It's a little bit late, and Sabali just made sure that he made the referee aware that, you know, it was a late challenge, stays on the floor, and then has a look up and thinks, all right, I've got the foul.
Advertise the contact.
I'll just have a little jog.
52nd minute at the Khalifa International Stadium in Al Rayyan. Ecuador 0, Senegal 1. That second Dutch goal, by the way, from Frenkie de Jong. So it's Netherlands 2, Qatar 0. Has been a miserable World Cup for the hosts on the pitch, heading for a 3rd defeat in 3.
Just looking at Ecuador, they can't get any rhythm in their passing. Every time they get into Senegal's half or into their final third, they keep giving the ball away, and then so they can't create any pressure.
And you think how well they played against the Dutch. It's night and day, these two performances at the moment.
Could be a bit of nerves, you know, because they realise how much is riding on the game. You need someone to get on the ball, so you like to think that maybe Casiado is the one who's going to try and dictate play.
Well, here's Plata. He's worked it to Preciado, wide on the right, low ball into the box and hacked away under pressure. It was good strong defending there. It was Preciado's run down the right hand side. It was dangerous ball in, but that Senegalese rear guard dealing with that danger, but that was much better from Ecuador. Been stuck in second gear so far. Here is their captain and talisman, Enner Valencia, on the left-hand side. He works it to Sarmiento. He's another one of the bleach blonde crew. In he comes on his right foot, tries to play a 1-2 with Valencia, but it was good, strong defending yet again. The likes of Papgay and Pathé Ciss doing a great job, and Idrissa Gana Gueye coming back and making an extra man in there at times.
Well, all Sarmiento there is doing is coming inside from the and just running onto bodies. So if he gets Sabali 1v1, go on the outside, because the worst, you're going to get a corner, you might get a throw in, and it changes the angle of the Senegalese defence, where they can't see what's coming in from behind them. But if you just keep cutting inside, as you said there, you're running onto Pathé Ciss and Papgay, so go on the outside.
Kalidou Koulibaly's playing well. He's just cleared the penalty area with a very strong header. Here's Caicedo, little spin in field for Ecuador, who trail 1-0 here on TalkSport 2 in the 54th minute. Gonzalo Plata, who's come a bit central, looking for Enner Valencia, and he's got his head in his hands because it was a bouncing ball and he just didn't bring it under his spell. He was on the edge of the box, but it skipped away from him and it's out for a goal kick. And there are nervous faces among the Ecuador fans around this stadium. The Senegal fans enjoying themselves rather more.
I don't think there's ever a time when the Senegal fans won't enjoy themselves. I think
could be 10-0 down.
10-0 down, and you think, all right, let's just make the most of this. We have to win this game. But just there with Plata coming in from that right-hand side, being naturally left-footed and just trying to get little passing moves going, all he's got to do is roll it out to Enner Valencia on the left, and it's just the pass is too heavy. There's too much weight on it. So that, to me, is a sign of nervousness, where you're too tense.
Talked about those Senegal fans celebrating. They've had a lot to celebrate this year, of course, winning that African Cup of Nations in Cameroon, and followed that up with an excellent win over Egypt in the World Cup playoff. Held their nerve in both of those penalty shootouts. One to win the African Cup of Nations, one to qualify. Long ball forward towards Plata, and again it's well dealt with by Jacobs. There was a doubt over whether he'd get clearance for this, Ismail Jacobs, having switched allegiance from Germany to Senegal. He only made his international debut in September, and he is somebody who's proud of where he's from. He's from Erftstadt, which is just south of Cologne. He's actually got a tattoo of the postcode of Erftstadt. Civic pride for you, isn't it?
Gets the fans on your side.
I don't think I'll be having Mill Hill on my shoulder anytime soon, but
I don't think I'll have him Bow on mine.
not a big fan of needles, in fairness. Here's Caicedo coming over halfway, rolls it into the feet of Estrada, who was their top scorer in qualifying with 6 goals in 17 appearances. Plays for Cruz Azul. He's not really been able to make much of an impact. He's got 8 goals in 38 caps for Ecuador. He hasn't had a chance worthy of the name, and nor has Valencia, quite frankly. And we're 56 minutes in here on TalkSport 2. It remains Ecuador 0, Senegal 1. Later on tonight, England against Wales on TalkSport. That'll be with Jim Proudfoot, Stuart Pearce and Dean Saunders. We'll have Iran against USA here on TalkSport 2. Every kick of the World Cup coming your way across the TalkSport network.
Senegal in the second half, just gone, understandably, they've just gone a little bit more defensive. When Ecuador in possession, they just go back to like a 4-5-1.
That feels like a dangerous tactic in a way, though, doesn't it? Because Senegal feel much more comfortable when they're on the front foot.
Well, all you do, you're letting Ecuador have possession, but they're just retreating into their own half. And what's happened is Ecuador just keep giving the ball away.
Space here for Sarmiento, moving through the gears, taking on Njai. Barely seen him going forward in the second half, Iliman Njai, and here he comes to defend again, but a curling cross in towards Estrada, and he was stretching and his header goes wide of the target, and it was a rather tame effort in any case. Even if it had been between the posts, Mendy would surely have had a comfortable claim.
At least Estupinian got the ball into the box. You know, he's come out onto his left foot, maybe should be whipping it across the 6-yard box, just sort of curls it back to the penalty spot.
He's good on the ball, Estupinian. He started as a midfielder. His former side, LDU Quito, needed a left back, and he was given a chance as a youngster in that position. Described as rather headstrong by his bosses there, but there's a great example of somebody who can have success through hard work. He is intense, Pervis Estupinian. And his team needs him because they trail at the moment. Cifuentes goes down, but the referee happy to play on here. Estrada with a rather loose touch, and the referee did let it run for a while, played the advantage, and now will pull it back for the previous free kick. 58 gone, Ecuador 0, Senegal 1.
He's Plata on the right-hand side for Ecuador, trying to get things going. You know, he's trying to play little 1-2s, but when it goes into Estrada, 9 times out of 10 it bounces back off him. So you've got to make sure you hold the ball up. So I wouldn't be surprised if Gustavo Aferro, the Ecuadorian manager, makes another substitution, because they need a focal point up front.
Yeah, it's just not happening for Estrada at the moment. Ball runs away from Ismail Jacobs. That was a loose touch from him, but he does make up for it by crashing into Preciado and hammering that ball away. It's going to be a throw to Ecuador, level with the edge of the penalty area on the near side, the Ecuador right. Preciado can launch them, and that looks as though that's the plan of action. He's got Plata short, but he goes longer than that towards the 6-yard box. Headed away well, though. Senegal are defending well in this second half, and then Plata with a high boot gives away the free kick, and that's going to be an opportunity for Senegal to just ease the pressure.
Preciado there's got a decent long throw, but there's no movement. There's no movement at all in the 18-yard box from Ecuador. So surely, in the days of the set-piece coaches, then, you know, you work on your corners and your free kicks. Surely you've got to work on your long throws. You know, someone coming short, you get a flick on at the near post, but Ecuador just far too static. It's like a fight ball, wasn't it? It's like American Hail Mary, and see if you can get on that, where there needs to be a bit more nuance about it.
And you would think Ecuador would be good from that kind of situation. They scored more goals from set pieces than anyone in South American qualifying. But as Perry Grove says, there wasn't much movement there. And they've just, once again, struggled to deal with Ismail Assar. They brought him down, and it'll be a free kick to Senegal inside the Ecuadorian half, tight to the left touchline for Senegal. And they just haven't been able to cage him at all, have they?
There's no need for Preciado there to make that challenge, because Ismail Assar is facing in the touchline. He's going nowhere. And from Senegal's point of view, they want the game to be stop-start. They want it to be very bitty, because it takes the flow out of the Ecuadorian passing moves. And now they can take, in every free kick, they'll just take their time, just see if they can load it into the box. They bring the centre-halves up. But I have to say, Jakob's delivery throughout the whole game from the set pieces, corners and free kicks has been very, very good.
They'll get the chance again with an hour gone, wide on the left-hand side. Just a Ganagues there too, and he actually does take it. It's an in-swinger headed away by Torres. Cifuentes clears it further, and Estupiñán will try and keep it in on that left-hand side. He does, he works it in field. And then Sarmiento just couldn't quite bring the ball with him. It was a poor pass to him, and Senegal able to clear, and that was a decent opportunity to break there for Ecuador.
Again, just broke down, just overhit from Estupiñán. Said Sarmiento couldn't get himself on the ball. All that happens as well there, when Senegal won the ball back and they hoofed it clear, they just retreated straight away. Straight away to the halfway line. Got to make sure they got their bank of 5 midfield players.
Here's Ismail Assar, and he's offside. Came back from an offside position. And the free kick is given. 20 years ago, Senegal got to the quarter-finals in their first ever World Cup. Started with a bang as they beat the defending champions France 1-0. And talking of France, Ecuador are going to bring on Djorkaeff Reasco, who is named after a wonderfully gifted player who used to play for France, Yuri Djorkaeff.
Let's hope he can have his sort of influence if he's brought onto the field of play, because I'll be amazed if it's not Estrada who makes way. Because Reasco can just go and be that centre point.
Assar goes down, referee gives the free kick. Yet again, Ismail Assar causing problems. Do we think there are many players knocking around with the first name Groves? And if not, why not?
They've had a very, very lucky escape if they haven't.
Well, if we're going to go with Djorkaeff Reasco, Groves Reasco would be all right, wouldn't it?
Sounds like a sort of a deep red wine, doesn't it, Groves Reasco?
If that's where your mind goes, that's where your mind goes. So we are going to get this change. Djorkaeff Reasco stripped and ready to rumble. Plays for Newell's Old Boys in Argentina. Here's the delivery from Jakobs, though, from the free kick, and it was actually flicked on by Torres, the Ecuadorian defender, and he needed one of his teammates to get him out of jail there. In the other game, it remains Netherlands 2, Qatar 0. Here on TalkSport 2, it's Ecuador 0, Senegal 1. That game between the Dutch and Qatar, by the way, is live over on TalkSport. Gonzalo Plata has gone to ground here, shaking his head and trying to get the attention of the referee. The referee says, I saw everything. It's a curious one. Yeah, it was he was running through Plata off the ball, and then he got body checked. It wasn't exactly subtle.
It's a foul. It's actually a foul. As you said there, that's like American football, isn't it? Like a linebacker just body checking his opposition.
No surprise that it is Estrada who goes off. He's found it very difficult tonight to make any kind of impacts. And it is Djorkaeff Reasco, who's never scored for his country, but he's only making his 5th appearance at international level. Made his international debut last October. And he's not been a regular goal scorer for Newell's Old Boys this season, just 2 goals in 21 appearances, but he is capable of making something happen.
What's happened there? Reasco is going to go on the right-hand side. Looks like Enner Valencia will become the centre forward now. See if he, his presence and his reputation. See if he can put a bit of feel up Diallo and Koulibaly. But there has to be good service into him.
I'm surprised they haven't done that before.
But yeah, I just thought we didn't know whether they were going to go 4-3-3 or 4-4-2 with Valencia up front with Estrada. They decided to go 4-3-3. And to be fair, with Enner Valencia, he's been on the periphery, isn't he? If you're the opposition back 4, you want to see him out on the left-hand side.
Dutch are surely going to win the group, by the way. They're 3-0 up now. Here's Sarr. Plays it into the penalty area looking for Boulaye Dia, who's been a peripheral figure really in this second half. It's Steven Berghuis, by the way, who's got that goal for the Dutch. So they're 3-0 up and heading for top spot in Group A. And it's going to be between these two to see who will get the second spot. As things stand, it's going to be Senegal. But an Ecuadorian equaliser would swing the pendulum their way. They only need to avoid defeat. Senegal have to win.
Well, Ecuador have 25 minutes, probably plus, was it 10 minutes now of injury time? Is the average, isn't it?
Maybe 20.
Exactly, yeah. So you could say they've got half an hour, a conservative guess, actually, to resurrect their World Cup dream.
Time is the enemy for the South Americans, but here they come with Sarmiento moving through the gears over halfway, but he hasn't got a huge amount of support. And Valencia to his left is captain. He finds him now. Comes in on his right foot. Works it back to Caicedo. Now it's with Cifuentes, the half-time substitute. Guns it out to the right-hand side and Preciado. This is better from Ecuador, moving the ball more quickly and making Senegal chase. And Plata goes down. It's caught again. And we get our first yellow cards of the game, and it's Idrissa Gana Gueye who has that yellow card flashed at him.
Yeah, just another body check there from Idrissa Gana Gueye. Just gets his arm across Plata, and his elbow accidentally catches Plata on the chin. As you said, the first yellow card, and I think you might see a few more yellow cards being dished out, because the Senegalese are going to use all of their know-how, try and break the game up. They're very, very physical. They're a very strong side.
Of course, still a lot to decide in England's group, but England favourites to win their section. So England fans will be very interested in how the next half hour or so goes. It's going to be Plata to take this free kick. Curls it into the penalty area, headed behind by Boulaye Dia, who got himself into an awkward position, really. The striker, it is going to be a corner for Ecuador. Ecuador have only reached the knockout phase of the World Cup once before, back in 2006. Beaten by England 1-0. Can they book another clash with England? Of course, a lot of ifs, buts and maybes between now and then. Here's the corner, and they were queuing up, and it's put in from close range. Moises Caicedo latches onto the flick on, and Ecuador grab a lifeline. It's the Brighton man who's got it. Ecuador 1, Senegal 1.
What are Senegal doing defensively? It's a brilliant delivery in from the right-hand side, in swinging with the left foot, just a little flick on the near post, and Caicedo is completely unmarked on the far post. There's nobody within 3 or 4 yards of him. In the end, it's a simple tapping from Caicedo. Brilliant delivery from the corner. Ecuador get themselves back in it 1-1.
Flicked on at the near post. Caicedo all alone at the far post. His third international goal. What a moment for him. Scoring on the World Cup stage. And suddenly, the dynamic changes. He's onside because, well, it's got one man on the line. Of course, they'll check it. But it's whether he's just gone a bit early. We shall see, but it's tight, isn't it?
Yeah, it's tight. It's flicked on by Torres at the near post. Caicedo goes in at the far post. He said there's a Senegalese player on the near post, on the line.
Moises Caicedo at the far post, and the goal stands. It is 1-1. There's always a bit of a nervous wait these days, but they had a man on the line and players trying to push out as well, and that's why Caicedo was onside. So he equalises, and suddenly time is the enemy of Senegal. We're in the 69th minute here on TalkSport 2. Ecuador 1, Senegal 1. Aliou Cisse, the coach of Senegal, in his grey hoodie and his cap, coming to the edge of his technical area, arms folded. Gustavo Alfaro, suited and booted, looking as taciturn and as nervous as he did before the goal. He knows there's still plenty of work to do, but Senegal have won themselves a free kick wide on the right, midway inside the Ecuador half maybe a bit closer actually than that to the Ecuador goal. Can they strike back immediately? Whipped in. Only half cleared. Oh, and put in! Kalidou Koulibaly! The captain leads by example! And Senegal come up with the perfect response! What an extraordinary second half! And it's Chelsea's Koulibaly who restores Senegal's advantage.
Ecuador have just completely switched off. You're at your most vulnerable, obviously, when you just scored. You said, we've got to make sure you switch on. And to be fair to Koulibaly, what a finish, Kev, from a centre half. And the ball's up at sort of waist height, and you think, is he going to smash it? Is he going to sort of try and strike it back into the ground? And with his very controlled right foot, side foot, just absolutely sort of guides it past Galindez in the Ecuadorian goal. Excellent finish from Koulibaly.
It was whipped in by Idrissa Gana Gueye. They made an absolute mess of clearing this. They had numbers. It went over Jar's head, and Koulibaly had the ball presented to him, but as Perry Groves says, he still had so much to do.
Yeah, just very cool. Estepinian and then Valencia actually got in each other's way. You know, neither of them took responsibility to go and attack the ball. Camera pans over to Aliou Cissé, the Senegalese manager. He knows full well what a huge goal that is from Koulibaly. Now Senegal go back to second in the table.
2 minutes, 30 seconds between the equaliser for Ecuador and Senegal's second goal. Kalidou Koulibaly. He's never previously scored for his country. What a time to do it. And all three of the goal scorers based in England. Ismail Assar with the penalty to put Senegal in front just before half-time. Moises Caicedo with the equaliser for Ecuador, and then Koulibaly coming up with a really quite superb volley. We've got clash of heads here, a couple of players down. Looks like Sabali and Estupinian are both down. Well, it's his 67th game for Senegal tonight. First goal. Good timing.
No, you say nothing like timing. And to be fair, it's good timing, obviously, because he's got his first goal for Senegal, and he's put Senegal 2-1 up against Ecuador. But the timing of the volley was exquisite as well, because he didn't panic. How many times can you see centre halves get himself and they just lash at the ball, where he's made sure he's kept his eye on the ball, his technique is absolutely faultless. And he makes sure with the instep his right foot, it goes back across Galindez in the Ecuadorian goal. That is a goal that Harry Kane would be proud of.
It's the reaction as well, isn't it? It's not just a swing and boot. He takes that extra moment just to set himself. It's gorgeous.
He gets his feet sorted out. That's the point, you know. As I say, he makes sure that he takes that little step with his left foot that he plants, and then he trusts himself, he trusts his technique. Just looking at it again, it comes off of Ana Valencia. So they're not concentrating at the back. No one's taking responsibility for Ecuador. And that was probably Senegal's first shot on target in the second half.
South American qualifying is as tough as it gets, but this is a team that barely conceded any goals in South American qualifying. The average just over a goal a game conceded, finished fourth, having missed out the previous World Cup by finishing eighth. But they have been undone twice, gave away a penalty in clumsy fashion, and have now gifted a second goal to Senegal just 2.5 minutes after they had equalised. And it's a rollercoaster ride, and at the moment it's Ecuador who are feeling sick. Sabali is back on his feet, just gingerly rubbing his head. And they are going to make a change here, Senegal. It looks as though they're going to bring on Bamba Dieng, who is a striker. Estupinian and Sabali look as though they're ready to continue. It's going to be a double change, actually. It's going to be Papi Mendy, the Leicester player, to come on. He looks as though he's going to come on for Pathé Ciss. That's a straight change, really, in that central midfield area. And Iliman Ndiaye, who hasn't quite been able to make his presence felt in the second half, he'll be replaced by Bamba Dieng, who did score against Qatar. It's a very well taken goal as well. So he's on for Ndiaye. And Pape Ciss replaced by Papi Mendy. Double change for Senegal. Ticking towards the final quarter of an hour here on TalkSport 2. And it is Ecuador 1, Senegal 2. Senegal have to win to make the last 16. Ecuador need to avoid defeat.
No, Senegal have never beaten a South American team, have they, in the World Cup?
Again, good timing. And the other game, that third goal for the Dutch, by the way, was ruled out on review. So Steven Berghuis had his goal chalked off, but it's still Netherlands 2, Qatar 0. So as things stand, the Dutch would win that group. Adds a bit of jeopardy to England's group. You don't want to finish second and end up with the Dutch in the last 16. So England do have one foot in the last 16, but they'd like to go through as group winners. You'll find out if they will with us on TalkSport later on. Their game against Wales is live from 7. Jim Proudfoot, Stuart Pearce and Dean Saunders, your commentary team for that one. While here on TalkSport 2, we'll have the other game in that group between Iran and the USA with Mark Wilson and Chris Uwelemo. All four nations can still make it. Estupinian plays it infield to Sarmiento. Through the challenge of Koulibaly, he did well. Curling ball into the area, headed away by Jacobs. To Preciado, heads it infield. Maybe a chance for Plata! And the left foot volley is straight at Mendy. What a chance for Gonzalo Plata.
Oh, the ball just wouldn't sit down for Gonzalo Plata. Coming off that right-hand side, finds himself in the centre-forward position, takes a decent touch with his left foot, just can't quite get it onto the floor quick enough. There's the ball, just gets up above his thigh. He tries to get his volley away, just can't get the right contact on it. In the end, simple save from Edouard Mendy.
14 minutes plus stoppage time separates Senegal from the last 16 of the World Cup. Did go on to make the quarter-finals back in 2002. That's well brought down by Sarr, charging into the area, under pressure from Preciado. He went down, and the referee gives the corner. Took a long look at that as Sarr went down, again causing problems for Ecuador, but this time he does not point to the penalty spot.
Ismail Sarr again causing problems with his pace. Preciado, he was at full stretch. To be fair to the referee, Clement Tourfin, I think he's got that just about right. It was more of a sort of a coming together, wasn't it? And Ismail Sarr, in the end, he actually knocked himself off balance. It was a good defender from Preciado. Good decision from the referee.
But Preciado's lucky because he tries to grab for him about 3 times and misses every time. And he actually caught up with him. He might have given away a penalty. It's going to be a corner though. It'll be Jacobs to take, the number 14, the left back for Senegal, who's played well in this game. Yellow boots, left-footed ball in, headed away at the near post, and there was nobody making the run, and it was a pretty dreadful ball. We'll give him a pass because he's been pretty good.
That is the commentator's curse, because I've just been praising Jacobs and from his deliveries. It's the first one he snapped hooks into the near post.
So there you go, Perry Groves admitting that that was his fault, just to confirm. It's going to be another corner though. Jacobs to take. Taking towards the final 12 minutes. This is tense. One goal could change the World Cup destiny of 2 countries.
Just looking at Senegal, at the moment they only have 2 players in the 18-yard box. Obviously it's their corner. Now they've put another 2 in, so they've got 4.
Koulibaly up from the back now. Jacobs' ball towards the far post. It was Koulibaly who jumped for it. Boulaye Dia there as well. Ecuador struggling to get it clear. Dia with the ball back in. Headed away by Nkapie. And Sarmiento further clears, but should be dealt with by Senegal and in.
Do you see it many times, Kev, where the team has a corner and they keep 5 back?
It's an unusual circumstance, in fairness.
It's clever game management.
It's good work in there from Papi Mendy, who's had a pretty decent tournament, actually. It's been a real live wire in midfield, covering the ground. He's a defensive midfielder. He's not the strongest, he's not the biggest, but he gets through lots and lots of work, and great example of that just then as he moved in to make the challenge on Reasco. Here comes Senegal down the right hand side with Ja. Works it infield to Idrissa Gana Gueye. He keeps it moving to the left, and Ismail Sarr got the opening goal for Senegal, arguably their man of the match, but commentator's curse again, loses it to Plata. Plata forced into a panicky clearance in a way, but he got away with it, and here is Reasco. Not really been able to get involved so far in a loose pass in the Ecuador half. Gifts the ball to Senegal. Here is Papi Mendy. Squeezes it through. Jar tried the first time ball to Bamba Dieng through the middle. Jar has moved out to that right-hand side to where Iliman and Jai was, with Bamba Dieng in the middle, as Nkapie with a cheeky back heel is able to prevent a corner. Now he clears with a more rudimentary effort, left-footed up towards halfway, and then that's covered by Pat Gay. He's got through plenty of work as well.
Yeah, they've been very good in that centre midfield area. Say Pat Gay, just a Ghana Gay actually dropping back. Papi Mendy has come in there. He said there's his industry, just putting there for the fresh legs. I'm just looking at the Ecuadorian players' sort of body language. That goal from Koulibaly, understandably, has just knocked the wind out of their sails. I'm just wondering if they have that belief, they've got that energy in this last 10 minutes just to push themselves on, push themselves that little bit further, because at the moment, you have to say Senegal look quite comfortable.
Well, they scaled the mountain and then fell off immediately, and so it's hard to get back up and climb again. Here's Estupinian. No, the cross was just over the head of Reasco. Senegal again clearing up towards halfway, and Aliou Cisse is virtually on the pitch at the moment, and so is Gustavo Alfaro. Both coaches kicking every ball, living every moment, organising, orchestrating. We're in the final 10 minutes of normal time on TalkSport 2. Ecuador 1, Senegal 2. As it stands, Senegal will go through as Group A runners-up. Ecuador need a goal. Nkapie just inside the Senegal half.
Just looking at Senegal, they've actually got into like a 6-3-1 now. It's like a flat back six.
That's dangerous though, isn't it, if you're inviting
it
pressure?
Is, but it's just, you know, like fans watch it and I watch it and think, why are you sitting so? But it happens, you can't help to. You think, we don't want to take any risks, we don't want to like give you any chances, and you end up going into that defensive mindset, and then all you do is you invite the opposition onto you, and what the opposition hope is if they flood the box that you get a little ricochet or a half chance. But at the moment, say the Ecuadorian team just look like they're struggling, aren't they, for ideas and that little bit of sort of creativity.
Here's Jacobs trying to lead the charge for Senegal and get them out. Here is Ismail Assar, tight to the left touchline. The near side is where you look at it. Rolls it back to Papi Mendy. He spreads the play to Sabali. Sabali with the first time ball forwards. He's looking for Jar! Right-footed shot from just inside the area, and it flashed beyond the post. What an effort from Jar. I tell you what, Hernan Galindez barely even saw it.
There's good play on the right-hand side. Sabali just putting it into Jar. He easily rolls Estupinian, who tries to go and win the ball. You've got to make sure that you just go touch tight. And Jar, it was a good strike, but again, he's got to be going across Galindez.
Here's Enner Valencia, and he's just levered off the ball there by Abdou Diallo, who was a regular for the French under-21 team. Abdou Diallo played 16 times for the junior version of Les Bleus, but has made the switch to Senegal.
Just even there, who said there, Diallo did brilliantly just to ease Enner Valencia off the ball, but there was a sort of air of resignation, wasn't there, in his face with Enner Valencia there. It wasn't a rousing to his teammates, come on, let's get it up, like, push everybody up. It was just a face that said, I can't see us getting a goal here.
Does he look fully fit to you?
No, I think it's more in his movement. His movement's normally good. I know he's obviously got a little bit, what is he, 33 now, but normally he's got explosive movement, and he just doesn't look like maybe that knees hinder him a little bit.
It was a big doubt for this game. It was a big boost for Ecuador when he was named in the starting lineup, but it's not really worked for him so far. But he's tried to chase through the middle there, and Senegal just moved across him, and Clement Turpin looked at what was a rather theatrical fall and said no free kick.
Yeah, it's just Valencia trying to break through the middle, and Diallo and Koulibaly, it was just like a lift doors closing, wasn't it? Yeah, it was no
That's
chance.
exactly what I was just about to say.
There was no chance of getting in that lift.
Closed in perfect unison there. Here is Idrissa Gana Gueye down the left-hand side for Senegal, who are 6 minutes plus stoppage time away from qualifying for the knockout phase of the World Cup. Diallo swings it across to Sabali, just in field from the right touchline, into Pat Gay. It's only Ecuador's fourth appearance at World Cup finals. First ever was in 2002. Here's Sabali down the right-hand side for Senegal. Runs into Nketiah. And now Ecuador can try and bring it forward. There are some tired minds and tired legs out there as Caicedo goes to grounds. Well, we thought that Caicedo scoring might change the dynamic, but that goal was wiped out almost immediately. They're going to make a change here. Ecuador. And it's Preciado going off, and it's Jackson Poroso who comes on. He lost his place as a result of the tactical reshuffle that Gustavo Alfaro enacted. Played against the Dutch from the start as part of a back five. And Poroso has moved to the right. It looks like a back three, actually, as Ecuador look to push forward and look to try and make something happen. We're in the final 5 minutes of normal time here on TalkSport 2. Over on TalkSport, it's Netherlands 2, Qatar 0. You can hear every kick of the closing stages of that one if you go across to TalkSport. But if you stay with us here on TalkSport 2, you'll get the conclusion of a really quite fascinating contest.
It's all about concentration levels now for Senegal, giving away a few free kicks. You know that Ecuador just going to try and get a decent quality delivery into the 18-yard box. So looking at Senegal just holding the edge of their 18-yard line. Make sure they don't drop too deep.
Free kick here for Ecuador. 10 yards inside the Senegal half. Plata takes it. He's looking for Felix Torres, the bleach blonde haired defender, but Sabali got up there. And the whistle has gone, and Senegal will get a free kick. And just hasn't happened for them, apart from the equalising goal, which came as a bit of a surprise, to be honest. Their set plays have not been as good as usual.
No, there's no belief, is there? No conviction in their set plays. Even there, where the ball is sort of pinged out to Torres from Plata, he doesn't really attack it with any conviction whatsoever. And Sabali gets the header first. Torres, with a frustration, then gives an unnecessary foul away, and he just takes this thing out of the game.
Everywhere you look in the Khalifa International Stadium, there are Ecuadorian cheeks being puffed, eyes being rubbed, prayers being offered. Ecuador running out of time. Valencia finds Plata. Plata hooks it towards the edge of the area. And Papi Mendy will bring it away. He's been excellent since coming on.
Brilliant since he's come on. You said about the fresh legs and the energy and athleticism. Every single ball that's dropped down in that final third or midfield area, it's been Papi Mendy who's got himself on the end of it. And we had a little instance earlier where he sort of broke down the right-hand side. He gave the ball away, but then he had the energy and the fitness level to get himself back 50, 60 yards, and he was the first one to engage the ball.
He's done a really good job. See his priorities by the fact that he's never scored for Leicester, he's never scored for Senegal. That's not what he's in the team for. So as things stand, the Dutch will go through as Group A winners. Senegal will go through as Group A runners-up. Ecuador and Qatar eliminated. But it's not over yet. Koulibaly with a free kick, headed away by Poroso. Comes here for Pape Gueye. Right foot shot from Pape Gueye. Goalkeeper lost it and then regained it. Galindez saw the ball cannon back off his chest, and then he was able to fall on it. That was a scary moment for Hernan Galindez.
Yeah, it was the heart in the mouth moment for Galindez. Should be just letting that come into his midriff nice and soft. It's too stiff, bounces back off of him. But lucky for him, then he gathers it, just gets it out to that left-hand side to Nketiah. And Ecuador have possession, but again, when they get into the final third, they give it away.
That tension kicking in again. Ecuador found it really difficult to relax into this game. Long ball by Nketiah. The header is won by Estupiñán into the Senegalese penalty area, but the ball is hooked away on the half volley. We're in the final 90 seconds of normal time, but who knows how much stoppage time we'll have. Caicedo out to Estupiñán, side to the left touchline. They're working in field to Felix Torres. He hits his own man. But also, it's that kind of muddled thinking we've seen from Ecuador in this game. Bit of panic here and there. But here's Estupiñán, tight to the left touchline. Curling cross, Sarmiento's header, and that's comfortable for Edouard Mendy. All in red tonight, and he's able to just fall and do that goalkeeping thing they do when they just want to wipe a few seconds off the clock. Final minute of the 90 here on TalkSport 2. And it is Ecuador 1, Senegal 2. And welcome to listeners on TalkSport. Ecuador at the moment heading out of the competition. Senegal in front through Ismaila Sarr, the Watford player, from the penalty spot just before half-time. Brighton's Moises Caicedo equalised for Ecuador in the 67th minute. But just a couple of minutes later, Kalidou Koulibaly restored Senegal's advantage with a fine volley from a set piece. It's thrown at the left touchline by Senegal. It's Jacobs, and Jacobs just hammers it out of play. Anywhere will do, Perry Groves, for Senegal.
That was more like a fly half in rugby, wasn't it? Just want to get territory, get it deep in the opposition's half.
6 minutes of added time. That's all that separates Ecuador from disaster and Senegal from glory. The winner of England's group, and indeed Wales's group, would face one of these teams. England did face Ecuador back in 2006. Bit of space here for Estupiñán down the left. Curled in towards Koulibaly. Not the best of clearances. It's bouncing around on the edge of the Senegal area, but the free kick given for the foul by Jackson Perozo, who's only been on for a few minutes. And we're ticking towards the end of the first of 6 additional minutes. And it's Ecuador 1, Senegal 2.
Yeah, it's a little bit of desperation from Ecuador. They haven't been able to create anything. Kev, we said before, we didn't think they had the belief. They got sort of caught in two minds, didn't they? They've been sort of very passive. And when Koulibaly's second goal for Senegal went in, you could see the sort of the belief just drain out of the Ecuadorians. I have to say, at the centre-half, Koulibaly and Diallo for Senegal have been very, very good.
Here's Sarmiento, the young Brighton player. Works it out to his club mate Estupiñán. Booming cross to the far post, looking for Enner Valencia, but yet again a poor ball into the box. It's been a problem that's dogged Ecuador throughout the game. Time is the enemy for the South Americans. Cifuentes with the throw. Finds Caicedo wide on the right-hand side. The cross is blocked by the tireless Idrissa Gana Gueye as Ecuador look to pile on the pressure. Nearly 2 minutes gone in stoppage time. One Ecuadorian goal would change it completely. Senegal have to win. Ecuador need only avoid defeat to take second spot behind the Netherlands. The ball did go out for a corner to Ecuador on this near side, the Ecuador right, as we look at it. Gonzalo Plata will take. They've already scored from one set play. Can they do it again? It's a booming ball towards the far post, and it's touched behind rather unconvincingly by the goalkeeper Edouard Mendy.
Yeah, Mendy sort of lost his bearings there as it gets whipped into the far post by Plata. Mendy just scoops it away with his right palm. Goes for a corner again for Ecuador on their left-hand side.
Mendy screaming at his teammates, trying to make sure all the defenders are in the correct position. It's going to be a corner here again on the far side, the left. Whipped in towards the near post. Brilliant header away by Boulaye Dia. Throw in for Ecuador, level with the edge of the penalty area on the far side there left. Sarmiento drives the ball, waiting for support to arrive. There isn't much movement around him. 3 of the 6 additional minutes have elapsed. Senegal edging towards glory. Long cross from the left-hand side towards Felix Torres. Heads it down, but Senegal clear. And maybe now they can break. And handball there. It's going to be a free kick to Ecuador just inside their own half. It's finished in the game between the Netherlands and Qatar. Netherlands have beaten Qatar by 2-0. Goals from Cody Gakpo and Frenkie de Jong. So the Netherlands taking top spot in Group A. Curling cross into the Senegal box, headed away brilliantly by Koulibaly. What a job he's done, and he pumps his fist after that clearance, the captain. 67th cap for his country, first ever goal for his country, and it might take them to the last 16. Another cross though, flicked on by Perozo, and it goes behind. It was Capier coming in at the far post. He couldn't latch onto it. He's complaining to the referee, I'm not quite sure why, and that's gone behind for a goal kick and relief for Senegal.
Yeah, just really good defending on the far post from Ismaila Sarr, just making sure that Capier can't get in front of him, use his body very, very well. Ismaila Sarr's been one of Senegal's best players as well, Kevin Lim, for the first sort of 70 minutes. Always a danger down the right-hand side.
Aliou Cissé, the former Birmingham and Portsmouth player, coaching Senegal. He's already led them to African Cup of Nations glory. Can he lead them into the last 16 of the World Cup? Boulaye Dia's going to come off. He's being pushed off the field by Moises Caicedo, saying, come on, that's enough of that. And it's a defender who'll come on. It is the big centre-back, Pat Abou Cissé, plays for Olympiacos, who will come on. Senegal looking to hold what they have, which is a place in the knockout phase of the World Cup in Qatar. We've had 5 minutes of added time here on the TalkSport Network, part of our wall-to-wall World Cup coverage. The ball flicked on by Perozo, brought down by Enner Valencia, has had a really frustrating game, perhaps not fully fit. He's been struggling with that knee problem. Galindez, the goalkeeper for Ecuador, pumps it long. Last chance saloon surely now for Ecuador. Cleared by Sarr up towards Bamba Dieng, but he can't hold on to it. Plata with a left-footed ball towards the edge of the area. Sarmiento tries to flick it on. Torres just up there full time from the back now, but he has it taken off his toe. The ball runs loose and Ecuador have to go back and collect it with Caicedo. Hincapié trying to dribble his way out of trouble, and he's done it. Away from 2 challenges. Plata, just seconds remain. Plata fires it into the box, headed by Estupinian, and the referee gives a free kick, and that might just be it. Aliou Cissé pumps his fist, but have they blown this final whistle? I don't think they have yet.
I think Aliou Cissé, the Senegalese manager, I think he thought that was the end of the game, because
he wasn't the only one.
Exactly, the double fist pump, but the referee, come on, swap out, it's just blown for a free kick for Senegal. They're not going to be in any hurry, obviously, to take this free kick.
It's Sabali who's down, and he's making sure he takes every moment to get back to action. Ecuador played so well against Qatar in the opening game. They then held the Dutch to a draw, and it was a game that they played very, very well in and could have won. But have they fallen at the final hurdle? Have Senegal booked a place in the last 16? It's all over! The Lions of Teranga have booked their place in the last 16 of the World Cup. The champions of Africa, Senegal, qualify at the expense of Ecuador. They go through as Group A runners-up. They'll take on the winners of Group B, England's group, in the last 16. But it's not about future tests for them at the moment. It's about enjoying this. What an achievement. They took the lead just before half-time. Ismaïla Sarr winning a penalty and scoring a penalty. Ecuador equalised through Moises Caicedo in the 67th minute. But then in the 70th, Kalidou Koulibaly, the captain, with his first ever international goal, gave us a scoreline of Ecuador 1, Senegal 2. Senegal go through.